What's up? What's up? What's going on, everyone? Dean Kulaweera here, Tech Recruiters 360. Hope everyone is doing great and fantastic. Hope you're having an amazing week. Every Wednesday, 11 a.m. Eastern time zone, like clockwork, I'm right here to help you out with job search and recruitment-related tips, advice, and strategies. Look, anything goes, folks. So don't feel shy. Feel free to introduce yourself in the comments. Let me know who you are, where you're tuning in from, what city you're based out of. If you're looking for work and job opportunities, feel free to talk about what kind of opportunities you're looking for in the comments. And of course, anything job search related, anything recruitment related, you have any questions, again, this is kind of like my weekly AMA, Ask Me Anything. So feel free to drop those in the comments. And don't forget to hit like, right? Like, and make sure you share this segment with anyone in your network who might be actively job searching or job seeking. Who can benefit from this session. All right. And if this is your first time tuning in, my name is Dean. Welcome. Thanks so much for tuning in, and appreciate you, following me, or maybe we've connected recently, whatever the case is. Always looking to meet new people and connect with new people. And I'm always excited to be here and hear about from all of you what your struggles are, right? Because that's my connection to what's going on in the real world, especially now during COVID, when most of us are working remotely. We're not really going into any offices or interacting with people face to face as much as before this whole thing. So in any case, shout out to everyone tuning in from LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Shout out to by the way, speaking of my other social channels, if you want to follow me on my other social channels, all my links are on my Linktree account, so you can check out linktr.ee/DK Tech Recruiter. Again, linktr.ee/DK Tech Recruiter. I post daily 60-second video tips on Instagram as well as TikTok. I'm also active on Facebook, so feel free to check out my Facebook link on there as well. And of course, YouTube, I post my daily video tips on YouTube, as well as Twitter. I'm active on Twitter. I think I have over 8,000 tweets on there. YouTube, over 600 plus videos, 95% of them related to job search tips, advice, and strategies. And of course, here on LinkedIn as well, right? I post a lot of stuff on LinkedIn. And if you are on LinkedIn, make sure, if you're watching this on LinkedIn, make sure you subscribe to my LinkedIn newsletter. I post a weekly newsletter, which I now release on Mondays. So expect a new release every Monday, probably during the afternoon or so, where I talk about a variety of different, again, recruitment and job search related topics. I think in this week's segment, what did I do? This week's newsletter, I spoke about the top reasons why candidates drop out of your interview process, right? This is based on my experience working as a tech recruiter in the recruitment industry. These are the most common reasons why candidates drop out of the interview process. So if you're an organization, you're a hiring manager watching this, you're someone involved in the recruitment process, this week's edition, which I released on Monday, should give you some insights on why this might be happening. And for the job seekers, in this week's edition, I talked about how do you respond when when you're being pre-screened or you're getting that initial phone call from a recruiter or from a hiring manager. How do you respond when they ask you what your salary expectations are, but it's before they've discussed the role and the position with you, right? The mistake most of you are making is you're letting them know your salary expectations up front before you've discussed the role, right? So I talk a bit about that in this week's edition of my newsletter as well. So make sure you subscribe. Shout out and thank you to everyone who has subscribed so far. Hope everyone's getting a ton of value from that. And also As with every week, this stream is brought to you by Tech Recruiters 360, which is my recruitment agency. I got the hat on here. So if you're an organization anywhere in Canada, you're an IT professional anywhere in Canada, you need help with your recruitment of IT professionals, or if you're an IT professional looking for your next, career opportunity, definitely make sure you connect with me. Send me a direct message, send me a connection request. Happy to discuss more and see if there's any way I can assist you, no matter which side of the table you're at. All right. So that being said, folks, today's tip was actually inspired because I saw this great article and some great information and data shared from Riva Gold. She put out an article, which was why so many Canadians are wanting to switch industries, right? And we've all been hearing about this whole great reshuffle. It's happening in America, it's happening in Canada, it's happening maybe in other parts of the world as well. So I just wanted to quickly share a few stats regarding that, which I pulled out from this article. And after that, I'm going to get into today's topic, which is what is your job search strategy and when you're switching industries. And I wanted to share a few tips on that. So just going back to this article that I was reading by Riva Gold, why so many Canadians want to switch industries. And I just wanted to share a few stats that I saw that was pretty interesting. So Riva says so according to LinkedIn's Workforce Confidence Index research, which is based on a bi-weekly online survey of the workforce conducted between October and December 2021. And by the way, 3,161 LinkedIn members participated in this survey. And some 57% of those who are open to new jobs said they were either currently considering changing industries, 42%, or were either actively looking to do so or had changed industries in the last year, 15%. And the question was asked, how open are you to switching industries? And among those open to new jobs, almost 6 in 10 are considering or have actively made efforts to change industries. So further on in the article, Riva writes, so what's motivating the desire for change? So Riva says inflation may have something to do with it. Canadian workers expect annual inflation of 4.9% a year from now, but just 2% wage growth, according to a recent Bank of Canada survey. 2/3 also said their pay is not adjusted for inflation, which now sits at a 3-decade high, which is crazy. Other top drivers of industry change included better alignment with one's interests and values and stronger opportunities for advancement or increased responsibility. Flexible work hours, better benefits, and greater job stability also ranked highly among respondents as reasons for seeking a change in industry. Again, in the article, what's driving the change? So Riva actually shared the results from that, from the survey. What's driving the change? Better compensation was the top motivator for industry switchers. No surprise there, folks, right? I mean, we see all these cute little quotes. I mentioned this in my article this week, my LinkedIn article. I mean, it's so easy. These cute little quotes on Instagram about how money is and everything. But guess what? It's the number one motivator as to why people are switching industries, right? So reasons for considering a change of industry. 52% of the people said compensation was their number one reason for citing changing industries as the primary motivation. Alignment with interests or values came in a very close second at 49%. Chance to move up or increase responsibilities came in at 44%. Better work, flexible work hours, 35%. Benefits, 35%. Job stability, 32%. More flexible work from home policy, 30%. Fewer physical demands, 16%, and less chance of exposure to COVID-19 at 11%. The article also goes on to talk about what about the people who don't want change. For those who would not consider a change in industry, the overwhelming reason for it was simple. 68% said they enjoy the nature of the work that they do. So look, some pretty interesting results from this survey. So let me just I'll share that link in the comments in case those of you want to read into this article a bit more, because it's got some great information about this whole movement in terms of people wanting to switch industries and moving to another industry. And maybe that's your situation. So feel free to share your thoughts on this in the comments. So let me just quickly put that in the comments. Just give me a couple of seconds here. And you should see that in the comments shortly. And with that being said, I'm going to go into shortly. I'm going to go into sharing a few tips to help you folks out who are in that situation. You're looking to share industries. I want to share with you 3 tips as to how you can effectively manage your job search if you are looking to switch industries. Just like seems like a majority of people are which a majority of people are doing right now in their career. They're looking to make this switch into a different industry. So if that's the case, let me know in the comments if that's what you're trying to do. If you're an active job seeker, let me know in the comments if that's your situation, and if you're looking to currently switch into a different industry, a different field. I know every week, folks, I get at least a few messages from people that are like, hey, Dean, I know you're a tech recruiter. I don't have any experience in tech. I'm looking to make a transition into IT. Can you help me out with that? Or what advice do you have in regards to that? So going in from, kind of that article, which is great. And by the way, check out that article in the comments. You should see that in the comments, Riva Gold's article about this movement in so many people in Canada specifically wanting to switch industries as a part of this great reshuffle that's going on. So make sure you check that out. But look, my 3 tips that I wanted to share with you folks, and feel free to start putting in your job search related questions in the comments as well. But my 3 tips in regards to this is tip number 1, if you're looking to switch to a different field or a different industry, tip number 1 is look, leverage what you have, folks. All right, leverage what you have. And what I mean by leverage what you have specifically is you wanna leverage your transferable skills. Okay, you need to take inventory of, okay, if I'm looking to switch from this industry to this new industry, what experience and knowledge and expertise do I currently have that will be considered a transferable skill set into this new area I'm trying to get into, right? A lot of you actually overlook this, right? And this is the first piece of advice I give to anyone that reaches out to me or that I have a conversation with or a chat with that asks me, Dean, how do I switch into a new industry? The first and foremost, folks, you got to look at what transferable skills you have, because maybe you don't have maybe you still don't have that direct experience in this new field, this new industry you're trying to get into, right? And the only thing you really do have is you got to take a look at your existing knowledge, your existing project experience, existing accomplishments, expertise, knowledge, all that stuff, which can be transferred, right? So I'm not talking here about each and every aspect of what you've already done in your career so far. What I'm talking about is specifically that portion, right? Whether it's a small portion or a big portion that is transferable into this new area you're trying to get into. So what all of you should be doing, if you're in this situation, you're looking to switch into a new industry or a new field, literally take out a piece of paper and make note of, okay, what can I transfer that I have experience with right now, right? All this knowledge, experience, and expertise I have right now into this new area I'm trying to get into. What is the transferable skills, knowledge, expertise, experience, and all that stuff? That is step number 1, right? That is my tip number 1 for you, is you got to leverage that transferable knowledge and skill set, because that's what you got to be able to articulate and communicate at your interviews, folks, right? The hiring manager is gonna because remember, right, realistically, you're going to be competing against people who might have worked in this field and industry for maybe many years, or maybe they have previous experience, like hands-on experience, professional experience, whereas you come from a totally different industry, totally different field. You don't have that hands-on experience. But here's the good thing. The good thing is you're sitting at the interview, right? Or maybe you have a conversation set up with the hiring manager. Something caught their attention, folks, all right? So you got to take advantage of this, and you got to show them basically, yes, while you don't have direct experience in this field, in this industry that you're interviewing for, you do have a whole bunch of transferable skills and knowledge that you can leverage and apply in this new area that you're trying to get into, right? So you got to leverage those transferable skills, folks, right? But if you're not doing that, you're not going to be able to articulate that properly at the interview. Okay. And just saying, oh, I'm so passionate about this new area I'm trying to get into, I really like it, and it's really interests me. Yeah, I mean, that interest and enthusiasm is great, but the hiring manager has to make a logical decision here, folks, right? And if you want to help them make that logical decision, then you gotta let them know up front, and you gotta communicate to them what those transferable skills are that you can leverage, that you bring to the table, that you can utilize in this new role that you're interviewing for, right? So that's tip number 1. I think we got some questions and comments here. So we got Anuj Kumar. So Anuj Kumar, you have a very specific question about data science versus full. Okay, so I'll get to your question later, Anuj. We got my friend Marino in the house. Marino says, hello, Dean. Hey, Marino, good to have you here. Thanks so much for tuning in. Appreciate your comment there. And Ashwin from YouTube, shout out to Ashwin. Ashwin from YouTube says, yep, definitely looking to switch industries. Awesome. Feel free to let us know in the comments, Ashwin, what industry you're coming from and which industry you want to get into. All right. So feel free to share that in the comments. Arjun says project management skills seem to be an asset for all industries. 100% agree with you, Arjun. Right. I mean, the skills you learn in project management, like dealing with people, dealing with stakeholders, managing a conflict of interest, managing disagreements, making sure things are on task, on time for the project, doing damage control, building relationships, making new connections. I mean, there's just so much in project management that can absolutely be transferred to other industries. So totally agree with you, Arjun. And if you have any experience doing that, Arjun, like where you were maybe switching from a different type of project into a new types of project area, or maybe a different industry into a different industry, feel free to share your tips for others in the comments as well, because I totally agree with you. Project management just give you such a wealth of different experiences that you can apply to these different fields, right? So yeah, great to have you here, Arjun, as usual. So Marino, I see your question. I'm going to get to your question shortly. So let me just keep on going with today's tips. All right. So the rest of you, feel free to keep putting your questions and comments in the comments. I'm going to get to those shortly. All right. But I'm going to keep it going with today's tips before I get into the questions. So tip number 2, if you're looking to switch industries, is, hey, what is so you've now determined, okay, this is the leverage I have, this is the skills that I have, the knowledge I have, the transferable skills, knowledge, expertise I have that I can bring into this industry. Now the second thing you got to do, folks, is you got to locate the disconnect. Okay, so yes, you have some transferable skills you can bring to the table, but now we need to confront, what is the gap? Okay, what is the gap here? Is it a little gap? Is it a big gap? Is it a huge gap? Like, what is the disconnect now between you getting into this new field and this new industry, right? And in examining this gap, you got to figure out, what training can I take now? What training, what certifications, what can I do at my end to help bridge this gap, or at least minimize it, right? I'm not saying you'll be able to completely 100% get rid of this gap or disconnect, because look, let's face it, folks, you're coming from a totally different field, totally different industry. It's going to be a pretty big gap, right? But what we want to do now is, after we've determined what transferable skills we bring to the table, and that's out of the way, we now need to determine, okay, what can I do to help minimize this gap as much as possible, right? And you can do that through training, certification. So this is where you got to do some research, right? What are some things that I can do to minimize this gap, so that, again, I can make myself more appealing and more desirable to potential employers, right, and hiring managers. So this is probably the part where you got to do some research, right? And you got to examine, again, trainings, certifications, workshops, seminars, webinars, maybe doing some co-ops, maybe doing some internships, maybe volunteering your some time, so you can maybe develop your own kind of portfolio of projects, or that demonstrate your ability. Or maybe you just decide to build your own project, build your own portfolio, if it's possible in your field, right, where you can actually start developing your own projects, so you can show, so you have something to show, that so you're like, okay, this is what I can do, like this is my practical ability that I can do in this new field, and this is something I've been working on, and here, take a look at it, and then let me know what question, whatever, you get the point, right? So this is where you got to be able to fill in the gap by doing whatever is necessary. Again, training, certifications, workshops, maybe developing your own projects. This is all stuff you need to do to help minimize the gap, folks. Minimize the disconnect, minimize the gap. I'm not saying you're always going to be 100%, bridge that gap, but at least if you can minimize it a bit, it just makes things more easier for you later on, especially at your interviews, right? Because you have more that you bring to the table, that you can showcase, that yes, I don't have hands-on experience in this field, but I can leverage my transferable skills, which was tip number 1, and also I've taken steps to bridge the gap, which is tip number 2. All right, so just keep this in mind. We got some more, so I'm gonna get to the question shortly, but going on to tip number 3, folks. All right. And this is based on my experience working as a recruiter, and also in my interactions with other friends in the industry as well who are in recruitment. Go direct to the source, folks. All right. Some of you may or may not like this advice, but look, I come here every week, and I try to post stuff on LinkedIn where I just keep it real with you folks. you should go directly to the source. All right. For those of you transitioning from other industries, do not spend the majority of your time with recruiters. Okay. I'm telling you this as a recruiter. Okay. And this is not because recruiters don't see the value in you. It's not because recruiters don't like people who are switching industries. Nothing to do with that. It's simply because typically 99% of the time, hiring managers want recruiters to look for people with specific skill sets and experiences. And typically hiring managers and hiring teams, they want us to find them someone who is as much as close to the perfect candidate as possible. And oftentimes this means that hiring managers will not really want us going out there and finding people who are coming from a completely different industry and making a switch into a totally different industry. Like, they want people who have industry experience, right? Now, this does not mean that you should completely eradicate, working with recruiters. What I'm saying here is ultimately the decision making power comes to the hiring manager and the hiring team. So what I'm saying here is, instead of putting all your energy and efforts into convincing a recruiter as to why they should present your profile to a hiring manager, what I'm saying is focus, like 95% of your efforts, folks, should be focused on potential hiring managers. Go directly to hiring managers, okay? Because recruiters are not gonna. If a recruiter has been instructed, like for example, right? Let's say I'm a recruiter and my client is a hiring manager, and they've told me, Dean, we need someone who is a software developer. They need to have 3+ years of software development experience. They have to have professional work experience as a software developer in the industry. That's what the hiring manager's expectation is going to be from me. They're going to expect me to bring people who have professional work experience as a software developer. They're not going to be open to me presenting them with people who are switching from a different industry, different field, maybe someone who does not have hands-on experience as a software developer. I mean, in majority of cases, folks, it's just not going to happen. The hiring manager is going to say, Dean, this is not why I hired you. This is not what I wanted you to do. I want you to find people who have that professional experience as a software developer. And this is why most of you out there, and again, I'm just keeping it real, folks, right? Because most recruiters out there will not publicly admit this, but this is the majority. This is the reason why majority of recruiters out there are probably not helping those of you folks out there who are transitioning into a new industry or making a switch into a new industry. It's not because they don't like you. It's not because they don't think that you have great potential. It's simply because the hiring manager, the hiring team has tasked them with finding people who have industry experience and knowledge and experience and all that stuff. So that's the only reason why, right? So how you overcome this is you got to bypass the recruiters and go straight to the hiring manager. I'm just keeping it real here, right? You have a better ability to convince the hiring manager to give you a shot than to convince a recruiter to give you a shot. And that's the case, again, I'd say 95% of the time at least. Now, you might have a little bit more of leeway if it's a corporate in-house recruiter. That's a different story. But even in that case, corporate recruiters are expected to find candidates for the hiring team that are as close to what a perfect candidate would look like, which means professional work experience in the area that they're looking to recruit in, looking to hire in, right? So my tip number 3 is, as much as possible, focus your efforts in networking directly with hiring managers, directly with potential hiring managers, directly with people who are the actual decision makers and making the hiring decisions at these organizations, right? They're going to be more open to having that conversation with you if they see your potential. Whereas a recruiter is simply someone such as myself who has been tasked by the hiring team to find someone very specific. And because of that, that's why recruiters might be hesitant to want to present you for these positions if you're someone transitioning from a completely different field, completely different career, and you don't have that existing industry experience for the position that they're recruiting on, right? So I'm just keeping it 100% practical and real and pragmatic here, folks. I just want to arm you with knowledge and advice that you can use in your job search. So my tip number 3 is go direct to the source, right? Network directly with hiring managers, network directly with people that are looking to hire for the role that you're interested in, because most of the time recruiters, whether it's corporate recruiters or staffing agency recruiters, they're going to be looking for people who have existing experience in the industry that they're recruiting for, with some exception. All right. So all I'm saying here is 95% of your networking efforts, 95% of your messaging efforts and email efforts, if you're switching into a totally different industry, should be directed at, again, hiring managers and decision makers who are making the actual hiring decision. All right. So look, I hope today's session helped. Let me know if you have any questions or comments about that. And let me go into today's the questions in the comments. If you got value out of today's session, don't forget to hit like and also share with your network as well, folks, so other people can benefit from today's session. And don't forget, every Wednesday, 11 a.m. Eastern time zone, I'm right here to share job search related tips, advice, strategies to help you folks out in your job search. And I keep it real, right? I'm not here to be Mr. Popular. I'm here to be Mr. Keep It Real. I want you to be armed with stuff that you can actually utilize for your job search. All right. So if you're getting value out of today's session, make sure you hit me up with a like and share. And let's get into the questions in the comments. And by the way, if your question is not related to today's topic, don't worry about it. Just feel free to ask your question anyway. All right. So we got Anuj Kumar in the house. Anuj says, "What's a job opportunity in data science versus full stack developer?" Yeah, that's a very vague question, Anuj. I'm not sure even what you're asking here. Like, I don't know what you're even asking here. So be specific about what exactly you're asking here, and feel free to put it in the comments again, because I have no idea what exactly you're asking. Like, what's job opportunity in data science versus full stack developer? No clue. All right. So be specific, folks. If you're asking questions, be specific and maybe put in some context there. All right. So I can better answer your question. So what here? So we got my friend Marino in the house. So Marino, shout out to Marino. Marino says, "I have so much knowledge and experience, but the interview process is kind of clouding the process." So Marino, what exactly is happening, my friend? Right? What exactly is preventing you from going ahead? Because it sounds like you have some great knowledge and experience, and I know you sent me your resume, I believe, yesterday, and I thought it was a very, very good, impressive looking resume. So what is happening in the interview process, and which part of the interview process is kind of blocking you right now? Feel free to clarify that in the comments. If it's something happening within the interview process itself, Marino, like if you're finding you're not able to move into maybe you're not able to move past the pre-screen, you're not able to move past the first interview, second interview, third interview. What that would tell me, if that's your situation, that tells me something is happening at the interview stage where they're not able to see your value, Marino, right? So it's one thing, folks. Look, most of you out there, you bring so much value to the table, right? But the challenge is, how do you communicate that value to the hiring manager, the hiring team? So if you're finding yourself not being able to move on to the next step of the process, this could mean you need to work on communicating your value. You need to speak to the problems the hiring team is experiencing. Speak to what they're trying to accomplish in the project. And typically, if you're not able to move further in the interview process, is because you're not effectively communicating that. Right now, I'm not saying that's the case with you, Marino. What I'm saying is, look, all of you out there, you have so much value, but you have to be able to communicate that value effectively and efficiently at your interviews. So the interviewer, the hiring manager, the interviewer, the recruiter, whoever it is, they're like, wow, we got to move this person to the next step of the process, so we can further evaluate whether this person can help us out with this project, right? That's going on. So Marino, feel free to again clarify in the comments the specific challenges you're facing, and I'll do my best to respond. All right. So we got Anuj, who says, Kumar says, "Hey Dean," shout out to Anuj. Anuj says, "Hey Dean, I want to switch from finance to IT. How to go through this phase?" Yeah. So Anuj, maybe replay today's segment, because I shared 3 tips on how to do that. Right. So again, tip number 1, you gotta leverage what you have. Right. This is the mistake so many of you folks make, is not leveraging your existing experience. So whatever your experience is in finance, Anuj, and whatever area of IT you're trying to get into, you got to figure out, what is the leverage that I have from finance? Like, what are some transferable skills I have from finance that I can bring to IT? That's step number 1. Step number 2 is identify the bridge, right? The gap, the disconnect, and what you can do to bridge that gap or that disconnect. Can you take some training? Can you take some certifications? Can you attend some workshops, some seminars? Can you start developing your own projects which demonstrate your ability? What can you do to minimize the gap, right? Minimize the gap. Step number 2. Step number 3 is go direct to source. Majority of your networking efforts and efforts at communication and messaging and phone calls and emails and all that stuff should be directed to hiring managers or people directly involved in the hiring process. These are the people who are going to be most open to seeing if they want to give you a shot or an opportunity or a chance. Majority of you, what you might be doing is you might be trying to approach recruiters, but recruiters, for the most part, they're recruiting set on a set not a set, but recruiters are usually looking for people who have existing industry experience. That's what I'm trying to say. So try and go direct to the source, which is tip number 3. Approach hiring managers, potential hiring managers directly. You're going to have a better shot at them giving you an opportunity versus a recruiter who has been instructed by the hiring team to look for something very specific in candidates. All right. So hope that helps, Anuj. We got Ashwin in the house. Ashwin says, right now I'm in the publishing industry and looking into other business services or SCM. I'm thinking of, sorry, that was Anuj. So Ashwin says other business services or SCM. Okay, got it. So Ashwin's just sharing his situation there. Anuj says, I'm thinking about data science or analytics. Okay, great. Awesome, Anuj. Good for you. And we got Ashwin says, hi, Dean. I've been following your tips about working and building your network with recruiters and connections in talent acquisition. While they do accept connection, what are the next steps? Yeah, the next steps is you got to send a message that captures their attention, Ashwin, right? I think Ashwin has a follow-up question here, or if you could shed light on how to follow up with them after you've applied to jobs on their website. Yeah, you got to send an effective direct message, folks, right? And this is what a lot of you are doing the first part, right? You're making connections. Maybe you're sending a direct message. But the fact is, how effective is your direct message? Is it an effective message? How do you get their attention? How do you make it so that you increase your chances of them wanting to respond? So I actually covered this on my course, my digital course, Applying to Jobs Online 101. You can feel free to check it out on my website, which is at dkglobaltalent.com. It's a paid program. Right now, I'm offering it for $97 Canadian. It's a 3-hour digital course where I actually go into detail in explaining how you can formulate and create an effective direct message that increases your chances of getting a response. And through taking my course, you can increase your chances of getting a response by up to 20%. Some of the people who have taken my course have experienced more than a 20% response rate for their messages. So if you want more information on that, Ashwin, again, check out my website, dkglobaltalent.com, or send me a direct message after today's session. If you want the link, I'll send you the link, and you can sign up for that course. It's a 3-hour course. You can complete it in 3 hours, where I go into detail about how to send effective messages, how to apply for a position, and what additional steps you need to take in order to increase your chances of getting a response and ultimately landing yourself interviews, right? So it's a 3-step process I teach in that course. So Ashwin and anyone else interested, again, go to dkglobaltalent.com or send me a direct message for the link so you can sign up. Again, it's $97 Canadian right now. If you want to sign up and go through that program, you should be able to finish it within 3 hours, and you'll have a much more effective process for applying for jobs and sending out those direct messages so you can stand out. Because look, the majority of you, what you're doing is you're applying for jobs, you're not getting responses, right? And one of the best ways to stand out is to make direct contact. But it's one thing to make direct contact, but it's another thing to figure out, hey, am I sending an effective direct message or email? How am I going to stand out? What can I mention in my message that's really going to get their attention and stand out? So again, I go over that in more detail in my course. So if you want more information about that, send me a direct message for more information about that. And guarantee, folks, it's going to help improve your chances of getting in communication and getting responses from hiring managers, hiring teams, as well as recruiters. All right. So it looks like that's it for today's questions. Appreciate everyone tuning in. And again, don't forget to like and share if you're getting value, if you got value out of today's session. And make sure you mark your calendars every Wednesday, 11 a.m. Eastern time zone. I'm right here to help you folks out with job search tips, advice, and strategies. So make sure you mark your calendars and tune in every week on Wednesdays. All right. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Don't forget to hit me up with that like, and I'll see you around next time. All right, folks. Don't give up. Stay proactive. Keep taking action, and have a fantastic week, folks. See you around soon.